Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
What is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, class swing traders? Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Got you guys piling into the room. Today is a day to rumble with the Fed. We'll see the long-awaited pause, 0.25, 0.5. Maybe they throw a ringer at us and they go with a full point. Who knows? But realistically, I do think it's probably a 0.25. And I think that we'll see what happens, but I think that should trigger a bullish move. Like I said, if we get a pause, as good as that sounds, that shows a little bit of weakness into the banking system more than they probably want to show. And we'll go from there. We'll see what happens. And then I think a 0.5 would be pretty devastating for the market as well. But the good news, I got some good news. I just saved a lot of money on my car insurance by switching to Geico. Besides that, we got Chuck in the house. We got Al. Good morning. Albert, Corey, Eric, Fayaz, Franco, Jenny, Greg, Kay, GW. We got Jeremy, Joe, Kevin. Good morning. Lauren, Lucian, Mark, Martina, Marissa. The squad is out. We got Rick, Rock, Tanya, Win, Yovaris. Good morning to all my people in YouTube land. We got Richard, Ayush. Good morning to all you guys that are sitting there lurking, not typing in YouTube land. Appreciate you guys coming out. Corey is here, rocking with us. Oof, it's going to be an interesting day. I don't know if it's a good day or a bad day, but it will be interesting for sure. We'll see what happens. But SPY right now, slight gap down, like micro gap, nothing too crazy. Probably within the next 25 minutes, everyone forgets that we have a little gap here. Like that's how insignificant it is. It will be a day for sure. Yeah, Wynn's got it. One way or the other. Inside Jose says in the YouTube channel for now. Good morning, Inside Jose. He likes to play both sides. He likes to play a little YouTube, a little all access pass. We got Ted. Good morning, Ted. Whew, Squadron is out. Right now at open. So Fed should start, I believe, around 2:00. Or at least any reports would be around 2:00, and then 2:30 would be the meeting. Up until that, I don't know how people feel, but what I do think is we probably get continuation, because I think that the market is anticipating the 0.25 again. The other thing that you want to, the market could still move based on what Powell is saying. So even if he comes out with that 0.25, again, I think initial reactions like, okay, good. He's giving us what the market expected. There's no surprises. But a lot of his questioning, or the questions he gets and how he answers them, is going to be important. But I do think this Fed meeting is highly important, as it will kind of, I think, give the direction to the market for possibly the next few months. Unless we get some other black swan or something like that. But I think today's the day where we start to get general direction, maybe help us push out of kind of chop zone. So I do think anyone watching FRC this morning for move, I got some positions. I already got some positions in that one. But yeah, I will be watching. It's on my screen for throughout the day as well. And we'll take a look at that one too. It's pretty volatile after. It's pretty volatile during the day, pretty volatile after hours, before market. It's going to be that headline stock so far. We got SPY. So SPY, again, we ended the day roughly bullish. I mean, we do have the VPOC moving up higher. This VPOC has not been retested yet. We got developing VPOC sitting somewhere around 398.45. That should give us some support. We got a really good close above this VPOC, this one. Lots of support at this point. Lots and lots of support. My one thing that I think might happen is if we get a little chop into Jerome Powell. So just some people kind of figuring out their positions. Obviously, if you were bullish 1, 2, 3, 4. That's an inside day. Probably not going to move your position. You got in bullish here, bullish here. There's a lot of people profitable that maybe wants to lock in some gains. I was trying to do that on Shopify yesterday. If you guys saw, we were trying to close out position. I was about 36 cents away from target, and I was like, if I could get out today in one day as opposed to holding it overnight, seeing what happens. We got Jerome Powell, big event. So I kind of think that's going to put a little bit of the coolant into the market, a little bit, just knowing that he's coming out. We have a major event legitimately 5 hours from now. But there could be some good things with some moves. Otherwise, I got to stick in the bullish direction. I would love to see some kind of a pullback fade. Not sure if it's going to happen, but we'll see if we just kind of play the market. There's a lot of room in the bullish direction, though. So first target on the SPY would be about 493. And then the second one will get us up to like 403.78. And then we have 404.61. So risk to reward is right now still in the bullish direction. Bearish will still be a little bit tougher just because you got we're above a lot of the support. So until that support breaks down, that would be interesting. I was also looking at the SPY on the just using the pockets of liquidity. And if you're looking at this pocket of liquidity, do we get a bounce back? So, and this is what I'm going to look for the Fed. I don't know if this one comes out today or before Jerome Powell speaks, but if we sell off, I'm looking for about 395.45 to hold. And if that can hold, that's a good bounce spot, mini bounce, and then we take off. There's not a lot of volume in this area, so that could take us up to 411, 413, somewhere back into that zone. So we get something like this, that I could see happening. And then the question is, what do we do here? What do we do at the next level? And can that get us to that 431? I don't know. There's a lot of volume there. This is going to be a little bit of a chop zone. We had a nice little bounce so far, but yeah, that 395 and change is where I'm looking for this market to hold if we dip. So I'll be probably a little bit cautious at the open just to see. I say that now until I find a really nice trade, and then I'm like, I'm going to go all in. Get me that second mortgage. All right, we got the Qs. So same thing. The Qs are, I think, even still looking stronger. I mean, if we could break this level, there's maybe not as much room to the downside, but to the upside. But we have, that could take us to 316.49. That's still $6 in a bullish direction in the Qs if it happens. And this one, so here's our bigger volume area. We already tested this thing now twice. So this is a really good double bottom. We have one little spot in terms of new VPOC that was tested yesterday, I think almost to the penny. It got extremely close to it. It got very, very close to it. I wouldn't really call it touching, but we hit that spot, rejected a little bit. It's not a big major gap down, a small little drop. I think we still buy. I'm hoping we can get some dips because that would make trading a little bit smoother. But if we get some dips, I think we are buying the dips still. Look at that retest. Which one? This one here? Interesting double bottom. I think we just need to light a little bit of fire. FRC was mentioned. If you guys have any other stocks you want to throw out into the chat or YouTube land, by all means, do so. Insight Jose says All Access Pass is worth it if you haven't joined. I mean, I think so. There's only I wonder what that math works out to per minute from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. at night every single day while the market's open. Tanya wants to look at Spotify. So with FRC, keep in mind, it's still going to be a headline story stock. There's still, out of everything, there is still a lot of fear in banking. We still have Janet Yellen, I believe, I don't know, it was this morning, last night, coming out. She's trying to put some backstops in place for some of the banks. You do have Jamie Dimon, who essentially took over a lot of the operation. They brought in some additional people to kind of help steer this thing. they are, I think, trying to save this thing. But then yesterday, if we look at the intraday times, and I have some puts that I sold. I picked up some shares with this move yesterday. Somewhere right to the top, I was selling $21 cover calls. Was getting paid pretty decent on those, which expire this Friday. So I have positions already in it. But right around this time yesterday, this is where we got reports that essentially saying that if FRC was not able to raise the additional funds that they need, then they're going to look into essentially downsizing and selling off parts of the business and stuff like that. So it's going to have a lot of chop. We did get our first bounce higher on VWAP. Maybe we could look for some kind of a double bottom in this thing. I'm just not sure where that would come in. Pretty much, I think if we break this 1498, then there's not a reason why we should be buying anything until probably we get back down to about 1232-ish. So we'll see. How much of their 30 billion do you think FRC will use to buy their own stock down here? I don't know. That would be an interesting play. I don't think Janet Yellen, I think she'd be yelling about that one. I don't think she'd be too happy about just buying the that would also be like, I'm in this now. I have positions. And I'm like, this all could go to zero. So I'm not like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's what banks did in 2008. Yeah, but they're gonna need some more funding. They did the first 30 billion was supposed to be for depositors, to back depositors, to be like, hey, don't worry, we are safe. We got you. We got the money now. Leave your money here. And then they said, all right, how about we make it unrestricted and you guys could use it for business operations, paying the lease, paying employees, paying everything else. And there still could be a run on this bank. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Which one did Tony want to look at? Spot. SPOT. Let's pull up the daily. Ooh, look at that little Gaparuski. That's not on earnings. Is there news on Spotify? Let's see. Tech sector, Meta cuts jobs 7 days ago. Let me see if there's anything on Spotify. Why are these guys gapping? Yeah, I think Meta got another upgrade today. GME, Winnebago, Spotify rose more than 2% pre-market trading after Guggenheim Securities upgraded the stock. So, all right, they got an upgrade as well. Really nice gap, actually. I do like the fact that we're above the wick. Let me just see if we have any concerns. Target on this one will probably be about 137.68. I'm not sure if that happens today or not. If the Fed comes out, gives the market what they want, that might be enough fuel. Otherwise, probably would like to see some kind of a pullback. That is in a very, very interesting spot. The fact that we're above that wick, but we did have bears come in there last time. We might get a little resistance and then look for, see if we can get down to like 129.33. I tried to set an alert. Yeah, for some reason my alerts aren't working. Interesting. It just keeps sticking. All right. We'll throw Spot a little bit higher on the list just to see what happens. If we get that dip and retest, otherwise it's up a decent amount. It doesn't really have that much resistance in the way. So I'm not opposed to taking something. Spotify got audiobooks. Don't know if that's the reason though. Well, it looks like they got an upgrade. So if they got audiobooks, I mean, that might help as well. Quantitative easing, pay them well. Yeah, the banks, you give some banks some money, they'll figure out how to just keep it themselves. Interesting concept. Yeah, we could look at GameStop as well. Bob, I'm not really doing too much. GameStop, reported earnings. I think the earnings were reported a little bit fugazi, to be honest. They're showing that they made money, but realistically, their sales were down. So where'd you actually make that money? Their sales were down like 1.7% or 1.8%, something like that. Regardless, though, it doesn't matter. None of it matters. What are we doing here? None of this matters. Go out, go to the beach, enjoy your day. GameStop. Yeah, so we do have a little bit. This is where the bears should come in. It is a wide gap. The fade looks good. We've seen GameStop move like crazy before. If Reddit gets going, we know there's a lot of people trying to pump this thing up, squeeze some shorts out of here. And this thing could go on a run. I'm going to let's add this to the list. We'll throw it to the top. It will be interesting today. But as far as like the actual earnings and stuff, no, I was not personally impressed. Seemed a little shifty how they work some of those numbers. Let's get this all the way to the top. Cool. Yeah, now they're just empty stores at this point. Can we look at Nike? Yep. I believe Nike had earnings as well. There might have been an upgrade or downgrade here as well. It's a good gap and go. We do have probably initial resistance or support is going to come in somewhere around 122.39. I would love to see like a green candle, something like that, get as close as possible to 123.89. That's going to be a short spot. And then, like I said, probably around this 122.30. That's where we get our first little bounce. We'll see if we could crack that. But what I would like to see is this thing trade up. Hopefully, we could get a short there. Then we kind of come down to this 122.30. That's going to be our next little bounce spot. And then we probably have some kind of the wave 5 into one of these zones. But Nike does look interesting for the short. Question is, can we make enough R's? Because I don't think it's gonna be a major drop. This is all really, really nice support. And we have a couple weak levels over here, but there are levels. We have all the bigger volume, at least on the longer term chart above us. So that's gonna be resistance. Yeah, I think we gotta go short on Nike at this level. Just the higher we could get it, the better. Let's add Nike to the lists. We'll get this one up here. So we have one of the few shorts out there. And I don't think this is a buy the dipper. Just rather short this thing as high as possible, but interesting. Rock got the new Xbox controller. Welcome, apes. Rock upgrading your gear for the new Destiny. The news on Nike is just earnings. Yeah. So they had earnings. Which looks like surprise beat to the upside and surprise cash. So I'm not sure if it was outlook. It could have been the outlook. Kevin O'Toole says, morning. Do you still see some more upside in Tesla? Yeah, so Tesla I was looking at today. I do see some more upside. Again, that's a big, massive day we had yesterday. We are also gapping up. This is a retest gap. So when I was looking at this one before hopping in to the room, we have a retest gap. If this thing opens and just absolutely clobbers higher, and it could, it's Tesla, it does weird things. But we're starting to get into a little bit of resistance up here. I mean, look how much volume is in this zone, right? We close right at a higher volume point, which is right there. And that's the spot I'm looking for some kind of bounce here, or maybe we could come into this. So I would have to wait for a fade on this one. This is such a massive day. It's up a lot at this point. But that being said, if we can get, it depends on, again, just you have to wait for your price on this one. Don't get too excited in the bullish direction. If it goes without you, goes without you. There'll be other opportunities to get in. Structurally looking, this is a good inverse head and shoulders, right? So we have left shoulder, that's the head, that's the right shoulder. That makes this probably our neckline. So until we get up to past 220, it's probably about 230-ish, maybe into this zone. That's going to be our first actual test. That's where we test the neckline, and then maybe we roll back again and do something like that, and this or this. That I'm not sure of, but yeah, there's a lot of room in the Tessie. And then looking at kind of just the volume areas again, so we know that this dotted line is the heavier volume area. We're going to be using that as support. If you're taking this thing in more of a swing trade basis, probably getting underneath that volume would be doing yourself some justice. That's right around, I'll say it says 189.60 if you want to give yourself some cushion, 189, something like that. But that would be your stop on a swing. It has a decent amount of room. It's not going to be the easiest since we're in some decent volume area. So anything from 208.61, which on a day trade basis, providing, I mean, who knows? We might catapult in one direction or another with the help of Jerome today. But otherwise, I would say 208.61 is probably the target for today. That's probably where we get rejected, and some bears want to play defense. But you're going to be probably a little bit chop zone, but there's still a good $10 in this chop zone until we get to the next one. No liquidity there, so the next kind of spot is 217, and then we're right back into like 223, 224. And a much bigger, heavier volume area. So I do still think Tesla's buy the dip for right now. Again, we'll see if that sentiment changes after Jerome Powell today. But for a lot of this stuff, yeah, I still think buying the dip will be the zone to stick in. Coinbase, really, really good trade. Good setup. Strong candle yesterday. Great close. I don't see the volume. Oh, yeah. Yep. VPOC closed above mostly every other VPOC in volume area. Let's zoom out a little bit more. We can't get the too new to get the sidebars. But we have a little bit of resistance. Probably the next stop on Coinbase is about $90. That's still $6 higher from here. That's a lot of money. So get up to there, then we come back. My thought process on this, we probably run up to about that 90 zone, and then that's when we could kind of fib this out, 50% retrace and something like that on Coinbase. We will see pre-market volume on, that might be more than yesterday on, I think pre-market was like 5 million yesterday. Volume's actually increasing. Ross has a retest gap, ROST. Yep, so you got about $2 to the retest on this one. You don't really, where's our resistance coming out this? Probably looking to short this thing around. So you're about 50-50. So 107.58 is going to be, that would be my high of the day. So this is a retest gap, 50-50. If this thing could get some kind of a run out of the gate and then start to fail, you could probably play that retest. And there's nothing, there's a couple levels of support, but nothing too big. But 105.71, next spot would be 104.68. And then if that fails, it's going to take you down to 104.28. So probably shorting, but that is still a nice gap. Question is where does that actual support come in? But yeah, to the high side of it, I'd be looking for about 107.58 for all stores. And on a daily basis, which is interesting, we didn't quite get to this gap fill from November. So major gap up. We're finally starting to come down. Do I see any wave count? I mean, this looks to me like inverse head and shoulders. Not inverse, just regular head and shoulders. I just want to inverse everything, but there's the left, the head, the right. This would be our initial breakdown. So this is probably a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC. Didn't quite get down there yet, but any other consolidation, anything that comes back for the retest might be worth a swing trade. So if we could get back down, I don't know if we do not, but you get back down to slightly around 105-ish and stop probably around $100. That could be a decent looking swing. Interesting. And if you're wrong here, your next spot to try is somewhere just under 100. But the fact that we already kind of broke out of that we were consolidating a little bit here. This is almost a 3-bar reversal as well. So we had big candle, small candle, inside. That's the gap and go. Now you have a retest gap. Wait for that retest and probably try to play that one bullish, but we'll see. All right, let's check Meta, who's getting nonstop upgrades. Where were they up? Where were any of the analysts upgrading this thing at $80, $85? Not one. 202, different story. This one's still hanging out above higher volume area. And again, this candle was our break. We do have some kind of retest into that area. You got a good little bit of a trap. Decent gap up, came down, retested, still hanging out. So we're still hanging out in this candle, but probably expect a little more chop here. If we start breaking the highs of yesterday, we have a good opportunity to continue to run. On DOS Meta. Microsoft, which had a phenomenal week last week, just resting, giving it a little break so far this week. For me, retest to the 50% retracements, about 264.60, so we have to wait on that one. But could be setting up maybe interesting looking hammer yesterday. And if you want to play that hammer, it looks decent. But easily could come into a double top and then roll down to 260 to 264 zone. All right, we got 45 seconds. Anything else that you guys see, want to take a look at? Let's take a look at Netflix, which I've been watching very, very closely. It's hit my bounce zone. We got the bounce so far. We are consolidating. This one I'm very interested in maybe setting up for some kind of swing. I think Jeremy took out a official swing on Roku yesterday. So maybe if Roku goes, Netflix will kind of ride it back a little bit too. But just some inside consolidation chop. Interesting looking high wave hammer yesterday. It looks like we're actually gapping. This is actually a bullish gap and go. 3 seconds. Oh, no. All right. It's that time, YouTube. Unfortunately, I have to disconnect you from the live stream, but you guys are absolutely incredible. Be safe out there. We do have Jerome Powell, a little bit of a wild card in the markets. And tomorrow, I think we have a lot more direction, a lot more information after today. So take the better trades if you can today. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy, guys.